I mean, we piss people off, but we could just say, 70-30 and just say, hey, we're going to split it down the middle, and I mean, again, I feel like if someone's like, damn, I wanted 40, but I got 30, or I wanted 80, but I got 70, you're upsetting them, but not upsetting them to the extreme. And yeah, I mean, we could essentially refocus things and come up with the governance and then redo our decision making. It's just going to slow things down. So, I mean, if we're okay with that, then so be it. It's just, I mean, we also have to understand it doesn't matter what you do. People are going to be pissed off. You know, I think the bigger aspect is are the individuals making the decisions? Does it seem like they're genuinely, you know, trying to do the best for the community? And I think in many times over the years, the IF has progressed that, and many times they haven't. And I think it does end up showing. And different, I mean, all cryptos are like that. Either the core team is generally trying to do the best, but unfortunately, nothing's ever going to be perfect at the end of the day. Well, I mean, they're going to complain. They're just going to be like, shit, I wanted more. Edward's saying that all options would piss people. He disagrees that all options would piss people off. Nobody has anything to complain about in a runoff because then what he's saying is the majority um, gets what they want at the end of the day. But it doesn't negate the fact that then the minority is pissed off. I mean, I think it's different in context, having context. In this context, someone's like, hey, I want to get this much rewards and I only got that much. Um, and uh and yeah, and then there's, the other aspect to this that's not really talked about is like it's not like we got a secure voting system here. Like anyone could come in and make a bunch of Discord accounts. So let's just say, okay, let's just say, and I'm not saying this is true, but let's just say the IF was like, oh shit, we need to be able to vote in this new network. Fuck, let's go over and make some fake accounts so we can vote to make sure that we do get a lot of voting rights. I think that's an honest risk that should be discussed aside from how many validators do we have, but right in the governance, we have this, I think Saphir's right. We have this situation where there's a massive whale, which we may or may not be able to blacklist.
Yeah, just to repeat what I wrote, like it's our own fault for not defining the terms beforehand. Like that was just an honest mistake. And so I think that because those terms weren't defined prior to, we just have to honor what it is, even if we don't like the results. And then
I mean,
move forward with how we talk about distribution. And then going forward, we just define the terms better.
I agree on that. And I think, and that's like even on the last one, someone said, oh, you guys didn't get the vote you wanted, so you redid it till you got the vote you wanted. And, I do think especially if the technical side is going to take much longer, we have time to, okay, let's now start diving into governance here and moving from, again, like we agreed, we as a group can make these decisions and move forward and it won't be perfect and go with it. And then we will refocus on governance and making it better. Let's just do a vote of accept the 60-40 or runoff again I think just go with the 60-40. And, I mean, it does seem, so there's also this aspect. If we look at the other one who wanted instant, I mean, I don't know. I do feel like there's probably more IOTA holders. And again, I think that will benefit the Shimmer holders in the long term. So I just look at it as what's the end result here? The end result is to benefit Shimmer holders because they're the ones that got screwed. And I do think that integrating the larger IOTA community, and I know people say, well, everyone had both anyways. Well, I don't agree with that. I know a ton of IOTA holders that sold their Shimmer because they just never, they never really they thought, yeah, this is a test network. It's gonna be worthless. So, yeah, me, I'm just with, look, I also just did, we got to keep moving forward. And it drives me nuts to, run polls over and over and over and over again. Um, but based on the decision that we agreed to be quicker and not perfect, then try to seek perfection and be slower, and sticking to that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's our group consensus. So, we can just, hey, do we want to do another runoff, or do we want to just go with the majority right now?
So maybe another vote within the group here, kind of like we
Just,
had last time, runoff.
yeah, just within the group here. And then 60-40, we can just put runoff for 60-40. And we understand that the 60-40 was what someone brought in
That was perfect
their,
timing.
their fake account just to get the vote in. And it definitely could be a discussion next week. I think it is a discussion worth having of, you know, um, do we need to consider blacklisting any addresses out there for that? Okay, so it's pretty clear that it's a runoff. So the runoff will be between the two, right? The 80-20 and the 60-40. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, no, well, we can, I mean, be, the first original one was that we were just kind of make decisions as a group, and that's now showing that it's not the, not the, I mean, we can't argument starting that if the vote is exactly even, then we will split the difference and go for 70-30. Um, I highly doubt it's going to be exactly 50-50, but you never know, it might. But yeah, no, we can start just focusing on governance while we figure out the technical side. I think we all had this idea that you just simply fork, um, you simply fork Shimmer, and we've got a decentralized network, and it's turning out that is maybe not the case. So um, we'll focus on the technical and focus on the governance, and kind of slow things down a little bit. But that's the consensus, so we go with it. Um, Great. So let's just put, and let me just go through real quick. So just gonna get through these real quick. So some of these to-dos that we had were check with DLT Green if they would support network. They did come back. Their group came back, and their community is open to it, but they only want to support not just us, but I think any token out there that has met certain standards. Those standards such as being MiCA compliant, meets their environmental ideas, requirements, being environmental friendly, and basically has a mature ecosystem, has a legal entity, legally compliant, etc. That makes total sense. They want to protect themselves. The crypto space is extremely risky and volatile, and they're taking a very safe approach on that. I also think they did a very in-depth explanation to Saphir on, questions they have, and I think it really can lay out some decent midterm and long-term goals that the TAN network and ourselves, is eventually getting to a legal entity. And I don't know if we'd ever meet MiCA, but at least, being environmental friendly and just becoming a mature ecosystem. So that's down in the future, but I don't think they'll be being a validator in the early stages. Sooniverse, not much response, continuing discussion. I think people are just pretty burned. Just trying to relate to them as, hey, it wasn't necessarily the team that rugged. It was more, they built something and the Tangle went in a different direction, and then they ran out of funds. And several project teams were affected by that. And I think, trying to tell them like, hey, if it's truly a community run with governance network, that can't happen, right? Like you can't have the majority of builders building in direction A and then a small centralized team say, screw them, we're going to change the code base and go in direction B. I mean, that's, like standard crypto blockchain, if the node operators want to do, if a small team wants to reorg, and they break off, that's fine, but the main chain, the chain that, is longer, is going to continue. So if you have the more economic projects and interest, that's the one that's going to continue. Doesn't mean that it can't have a split, but that split will go off with a smaller and so as such. So focus on porting over dApps. Did we ever get a list going, Bill Poster, on dApps that could port over? Okay. Okay. Just wondering, maybe I'll create it in our Notions and then I can just copy it over to week. Still need to talk about incentives, Martin, Tan. Okay. So again, yeah, just Jiggle did look at the code. Looks like people looked at the code. I think we're working on getting the admin rights to more people. And I think then what would be best is to either shift sort of the core contributor chat, just open it up to be public, that we kind of had many months ago. But I think, on the validator side, maybe just moving all that code talk to a public node operator channel. That way, if someone is a DLT expert, they can kind of jump in there and have discussion. And I think just as an aspect, like Mr. Storm, got in there, had a chat, said he was willing to, and I think that's awesome. We need more of that. But if people don't know those discussions are happening, then we don't know who's out there that actually has the technical ability to at least get involved and try. Yeah, all the other stuff's real technical stuff, which we have to wait till we can figure out if we can get this going. And then we were going to write up the actual breakdown of the distribution, but we have to figure out the distribution first. So I think that's pretty much it. And then, yeah, still need to get some practice in with the Gnosis. Okay. So good meeting. One step closer. And I think it was a good technical talk in the beginning. And yeah, then maybe next week we start diving into getting a bit more structured governance and maybe put those on the objectives of governance and technical. So when you get some time, Bill Poster, please throw that vote up. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you all next week. Enjoy your day or night.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.